started working for my father, I got what they call the half sheet. I became a runner. So back then, what a runner is a bookmaker has the bankroll, and you become so you have, let's say you have 10 friends that want to bet or whatever. You have guys that want to put bets in. So you would become a runner. You would get what they would call, back then we used to get what they call a half sheet, right? So what a half sheet is, that I get a number from you with a code. Like, so my code would be 53. And you would call up and say, hi, my name's Pasquale. I'm calling for 53. And they would know that you're my customer. They go, okay, Pasquale, what do you, and you would say, I need the line on the Jet game, the Giant game, and they would give you the line, and then you would put your bet in, and to the bookmaker, which we got to get into too, because that's a whole different thing. The bookmaker himself, with now what he's doing, while you're calling it a bet, you're the gambler. We're talking about gamblers now. So then I would give you the bet, right? And that would go on my half sheet. And then at the end of the week, so if my half sheet won 10,000, I got 5 and the bookmaker got 5, but I'm responsible for the money. So the runner has to collect the money and straighten out with the bookmaker. If my sheet lost 10,000, then I would go in the red for the whole 10,000. And then the following week, if I won 8,000, 4,000 would come off the red figure, and so on and so forth. So that's what they call the half sheet. And most bookmakers have runners. Like, nobody really calls direct to a bookmaker. They'll have their own private customers, but most of them have runners, that's what you want. You want like a lot of runners that have a lot of clients, right? It's like a spider web, right? So you want a lot of runners. So, I knew bookmakers that had, my father knew Milty Wicker. He's good friends with, he was around Sonny Francis also, and Mikey Francis knows him well too. My father, Milty Wicker, was probably the biggest bookmaker on the East Coast. I mean, he had runners in Boston and I mean, all up and down the East Coast. He was like a humongous bookmaker. Like, I know bookmakers that made crazy money, but even to be a bookmaker back then, it wasn't like today. Today, you just get a website, you know what I mean? And everything's on the computer. The computer does all the figures. Back then, you had to do everything yourself. So we had to get, even down to the paper the bets were written on. It was a special paper that we used to order, and it was like triple kits. So you wrote the bet. It was a white page and a pink and a yellow, and you would write the bet on the white page, and it would go through the 3 sheets, and then you would rip it. And, because in case anything got busted, or you always had more than one copy, because, we had no recordings back then. We weren't taping anything. So we had to have duplication, lost the slip. So we had just special kind of paper. You had to have more than one apartment. So a bookmaker, so let's say I wanted to open up a sports office. So what I would do is I would have to go in a building and get 2 apartments, right? I would get 2 apartments, and one apartment I would put all phones in. Like, I know bookmakers that had 3, 4, 5, 6 phones in one office, and clerks. And when you would I would pay you $500 a week to be a clerk. So and clerks are very important. So, and the clerks were like really like good. Like, they were fast and they were sharp, and they knew how to move the lines, because you had to move the lines according to the money. You know what I mean? Because if you're getting a lot of bets on one team, you got to move the lines to try to get bets on another. You got to know how much to edge off, who to edge off to. Because if I get a lot of bets on one team, I'm going to edge it off to other bookmakers, so I don't get stuck with a big, humongous bet and get hurt. So, it's a lot. Today, it's not a lot because the computer does it all. But back then, we had to do it all. So we would have to keep track of the money coming in. We'd have to keep track of the lines. We'd have to keep track of who we're going to edge off to. And now to set up the office, to get back to that. So now I would have one office, and I would put all the phones in where the clerks are going to go. Then I would have another office with hot boxes. A hot box was a jumper. Like, in other words, so you call, I give you the number, you call up the number went to an empty apartment with a hot box. The hot box sent the call to where the office was. So when if the cops got the lines, got the numbers, and traced the phones. They went to the empty apartment because they went to the apartment where the hot box was. So you had to get a hot box. They used to call them. So it was a whole procedure to be a bookmaker, and that's what we had to do. That's what we did. I never went to that length but most of the time I was a runner. But the bookmakers were really big. They were all around my father. My father got monthly envelopes off them.